enter the meeting.
Good. Good morning, everyone. Would like to welcome everybody to our meeting here this morning, starting here at 9 a.m. And would like to start with our land recognition. The City of Chestermere acknowledges the traditional territories of the Blackfoot and the people of Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, which includes the Siksika, Piikani, Kainai, Tsuut'ina, and Stoney Nakoda First Nations, including Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley First Nations. The City of Chestermere is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, District 4. We are honored to be gathered here today on their land to commence this official, to start our meeting. With that, would like to have a look at the agenda here and ask if there are any changes or deletions from the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, we'd like to respectfully submit two changes. First, in addition, immediately following the approval agenda, we have a special presentation to the members of council. And secondly, we'd offer to delete item number 7.2. Unfortunately, the master servicing agreement with the City of Calgary was not attached to the request for decision. It was only circulated to council yesterday morning, and council has not had sufficient time to review that particular agreement. So out of respect for council, we'll like to remove this item from the agenda, and it'll appear on a subsequent regular meeting of council agenda. Those are the changes for your consideration, Your Worship.
Great, thank you. With that, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Councillor Schindler?
Motion that council approve the July 23rd, 2024 regular council meeting agenda with the following amendments. Add item 3.1, awarding council certification of completion of orientation, and remove item 7.2, Calgary Master Service Agreement Amendment.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from council? Councillor Sambo?
Did I say 3.1?
Sorry, is that supposed to be 3.1 or 2.1? Or sorry, where is that going?
Add
It'd
item
be
3.1.
2.1.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I believe that's a minor change and not needing a restating of the motion. Would that be correct? Good. Okay. Any other questions or comments before call for the vote? Thank you. Just before calling for the vote, I would just like to update the public on how things look on our side when we call for the vote. So we use electronic voting. So with our electronic voting, when I call for the vote, the options to vote yes or no on any motion pop up on our electronic device. And so what you're going to see is I'm going to be calling for the vote. All of council is aware that they are then have opportunity to vote yes or no on that item. So just a small change. This is within our procedural bylaw to do this. So what will happen again is I will simply call for the vote, then councillors will make their decisions yes or no. It'll come up onto the screen. Public will then be able to see what has happened with that. That procedure would change if, as per our procedural bylaw, if a vote was called for a recording vote and or if we were having electronic problems and having to vote for hand, then we would have a small change to that procedure. But with the electronic voting, what you're only going to see me do is call for the vote, and council is aware that they have the opportunity to vote however they wish. So with that quick explanation, I'd like to call for the vote for approval of the agenda as amended. Deputy Mayor, I think we're waiting for yours. Great, and that is carried. Then for this next item, then am I turning this over to you, Mr. Vincent? Yes, sir. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to report to the community council has successfully completed.
I apologize, Ms. Vincent, we'll be able to turn that mic maybe.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to report that council has successfully completed their council orientation as per the provisions of the Municipal Government Act. Council had their orientation last Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, 2.5 full days. And it's a great pleasure to present each member of council with a certificate of completion this morning. I'd ask my executive team to join me for this particular presentation. And I'll ask members of council, as they're announced, to come forward to receive their presentation and come around this side, present it, and receive congratulations from the members of your administration. This certificate reads as follows. Certificate of completion. This certifies that Mayor Shannon Dean has successfully completed the City of Chestermere Council Orientation Program from July 16th to July 19th of 2024. Signed by myself as the interim CEO. Mayor Dean, please.
Thanks, sir.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. That's right. Like I am? Yeah.
Just like a receiving line at a wedding.
That's right.
Next, very proud to present Deputy Mayor Murray Grant.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
And no, there's no basket for money at the end either. Councillor Ritesh Narayan. Congratulations. Councillor Curran Randawa. Congratulations. Councillor Janelle Sandbo.
This really does feel like graduation. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Councillor Robert Schindler.
Thank you kindly. Thank you kindly.
And with one of the finest Polish names ever, Councillor Rob Warzenowski.
You did.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll ask my executive team to return to their seats, and if I may be permitted, just a few comments. I want to share with you that this council orientation was by far the very best council orientation I've ever had the pleasure to put together. It far exceeded the gold standard. Council's orientation is not yet completed, and that won't surprise you. Following today's council meeting, council will proceed with a tour of city facilities and projects. And council realizes that their orientation will continue for some time. There's a number of things they've identified as part of that training. There's cultural sensitivity, True Colors personal awareness, FOIP training, trauma-informed leadership training. They also previously committed to the Alberta Municipal Affairs Roles and Responsibility for Municipal Officials Workshop and Economic Development for Elected Officials course. So that training will be scheduled over time. We're going to be able to reduce the fire hose flow of information, but they have been very successful in a very short time of being briefed on a number of items. They realized how steep a learning curve it would be and how busy they would be in the first couple of months. Let me share with you that they are going to be doing their strategic planning process tomorrow and Thursday. This is a very energetic, committed, and very eager group of elected officials. In my years of experience, they're going to be one of the very best councils to have ever served the community. And I know that already in a very brief time that I've been able to work with them. There are a number of meetings and requests and presentations, and give you an idea, a dinner meeting with the Minister of Municipal Affairs, a joint council meeting with Rocky View County, a joint council meeting with the town of Strathmore, and numerous groups have already contacted administration for presentations. The Calgary Metropolitan Region Board, the Collaborative Stormwater Management Initiative, the Marigold Regional Library System, the Chestermere Library Board. So council will be having a very busy schedule now until the end of September, but I know they're up to the task. They're fully committed to doing what needs to be done to provide the best governance for the city of Chestermere. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you for that, Mr. Vincent. Yeah, we're very much looking forward to doing our strategic planning tomorrow and helping to set the direction here for the next while for Chestermere. And one of the things that I wanted to share, I was going to wait till the end of the meeting, but it seems appropriate just to kind of insert this here now, is at the end of it, at the end of our orientation on Friday, Mr. Vincent asked for some feedback from all of our councillors, and with their permission, I've been given the opportunity here to just speak about that. And so Councillor Warzanowski talked about the fact that he was blown away by the work of admin and that how much they've been setting us up for success, and impressed by the projects that are coming. And Councillor Sandbo was impressed and amazed at the work that has been done. Councillor Schindler echoed everything that the other two councillors had mentioned and was impressed with the work that had been done. Councillor Randawa said she was impressed with how much work had been done and how much easier it's been for this council to be able to step in, that the work that the staff is doing has made it so much easier for us to step in. And Deputy Mayor Grant mentioned that the package had been so well done. From every department, we got a one-page update as to things that were going on. And it was great that we were able to just get that one-pager that updated this council as to what was happening. And so from council, I wanted to say thank you on behalf of council to administration for the work that you have been doing, not just over the past 6 months, but for that you have always done, continue to do. And I echo what this council has said, is that you have really helped to set this council up for success. And we are very grateful for that. So thank you to administration from council. With that, we move on to the exciting business of approving minutes. And so now I would like to call for a motion, moving on to 3.1 for the July 9th, 2024 regular meeting minutes of council. Call for a motion. Deputy Mayor Grant.
Motion that council approve the July 9th, 2024 regular meeting minutes as presented.
Any questions, comments? Okay, we'll call for the vote. Thank you, and that has passed. Moving on to 3.2, the May 2024 crime stats. Calling for a motion to receive this as information. Councillor Sambo.
I move that council accept the RCMP crime stats dated May 2024 as information.
Questions or comments from council? Question that I would have through to administration is, I'm wondering on these quarterly updates if it would be possible for us to extend an invite to our Staff Sergeant Clausen to come so that we can have kind of some more further conversations in regards to where our crime stats are at, and that would then provide council an opportunity to be able to ask questions. So I was wondering if we can extend those invites to administration.
It'd be our pleasure to do so, Your Worship.
Great, thank you. Motion's on the floor. I'll call for the vote. And that's passed unanimously. Correspondence. I believe we have some correspondence here. And same thing through CAO Pat to Kallen will approve each of these individually. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. So I'd like to call for a motion to accept the congratulatory letter from CFLOA. Councillor Warzanowski.
Can you present the motion, please? Motion that council accept the letter from the Chestermere Lakefront Owners Association as information.
And comments, questions?
I'll comment.
Yeah.
Am I still on mic? I just want to comment that that I met with the chairman or the president of the Chestermere Lakefront Association, and they're really much looking forward to working with council this year. So, and we're all looking forward to that. They've been very engaged and working with administration over the last couple of months. So, I just want to share that with the public.
Yes, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Call for the vote. Thank you, and that's carried. And item 4.2 from the correspondence from UCMAS. Motion to accept for information. Councillor Narayan.
Thank you. Move a motion that council accepts UCMA's presentation as information.
Any comments or questions? Call for the vote. Oh, I apologize. Sorry, Councillor Sambo.
What is the presentation? I don't believe I saw it. Is it a letter of congratulations?
Oh,
or?
I think this was attached.
Yeah, I didn't see it either.
Sorry, CEO, Mr. Vincent, if you could speak to that.
Your Worship, members of council, there was an email that was previously circulated to all of council, and since it had been previously circulated, it wasn't attached to the agenda. In the future, if it appears on council agenda, we'll ensure it's attached so that the public is also aware of that correspondence.
Awesome. Could we then ensure that it gets attached as part of these minutes afterwards? Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Thanks for catching that, Councillor Sample. Any other questions, comments? And call for the vote. And that's carried. And I believe for the next one, we have a video that we're going to be playing.
Hey, Mayor Dean and members of Chestermere Council. It's Mayor Gondek here in Calgary. This morning, we just had a press conference announcing that we're still under some outdoor water restrictions and explaining the reason why. And I just want to thank you in your municipality for all the leadership that you have shown in explaining to people why they need to be saving water at this time. The work that you have done with your businesses and residents around explaining that one less flush or one shorter shower really makes a big difference has absolutely impacted our ability to keep water running to everyone's homes and businesses at this critical time. It has been a pleasure rallying with you during this time of emergency, and I think there are so many more things we can do into the future. I appreciate all of your efforts and all of your commitment. You are such good humans. Thank you for everything you've done with us. Hey, Mayor Dean.
Awesome, thank you. So yeah, I would just like to echo the words from there, Mayor Gondek, but also pass that along to administration for the work that they've done in keeping our residents informed. So what's been happening with the water restrictions, the signs that have been put up, and I'm sure we are all looking forward to getting back to regular water use, as evidenced by some of our lawns as we are wanting to get those watered. So call for the motion here from the recognition of the City of Chestermere from Mayor Gondek. Councillor Sambo.
I move that council accept the recognition from the city to the City of Chestermere from the Honourable Mayor Gondek as information.
Comments, questions? Call for the vote. And that's carried. Item 5.1, bylaws, number 023-24, procedural amending bylaw. And I believe that this is being presented by Mr. Morrison.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Today, administration is seeking the motion that council give second reading to bylaw 023-24, being an amendment to the procedural bylaw, and a motion that council give third and final reading to bylaw 023-24, being an amendment to the procedural bylaw. Upon administration's review of the procedural bylaw has been amended to remove the swearing-in ceremony at the organizational meeting in order to give council an opportunity to organize an independent swearing-in ceremony, and to remove committee of the whole meetings and replace it with governance and priority meetings without changing the nature of how the meetings are ran. In the amendment of the procedural bylaw, being bylaw 001-24, 4 sections have been changed. These changes made in the procedural bylaw are as follows. Section 4.11 has been removed that the first organizational meeting after an election, members shall take oaths of office and following the requirements for annual organizational meetings. Section 3.13 has been removed. Committee of the whole, or COW, means a committee comprised of all committee members with less stringent guidelines. Section 3.21 has been added. Governments and priority meetings means a meeting wherein a committee comprised of all council members have the opportunity to discuss governance and strategic set of council priorities. The title of section 4.2 have been changed for the committee of the whole meeting, governments and priorities meetings. All terminologies referring to committee of the whole, or COW, in section 4.2 and the bylaw have been changed to the committee. All numbering has been changed accordingly. It is my understanding that council has other amendments they would like to propose to the bylaw, so we can go over those in this meeting. For the implications upon passing the second and third reading, committee of the whole meetings will be called governments and priority meetings from there on. Furthermore, passing of the second and third reading, council will have the opportunity to organize an independent swearing-in ceremony. And just for recommended options, again, it's to give second and third reading to bylaw 023-24, being an amendment to the procedural bylaw.
Great, thank you. I believe procedurally what we're going to do is we'll call for the motion for second reading. And then from there, we're going to open up for discussion for council, because I do know that there are a number of questions and comments. So we're going to take our time with this, council, and really go through this and then make a decision from there as to what we're going to do about third reading. So I'd like to call for the motion for second reading. Councillor Randhawa.
Motion that council give second reading to bylaw -023-24, being amendment to the procedural bylaw.
Great, thank you. So then before calling for the vote is we're going to open it up for questions. And I've been wrestling with how to do this. I think that the way that we'll go about this is we're going to go page by page. And if somebody has something on that page, then we'll comment it. If not, we'll go quick. So I believe some pages are going to go quicker than others. But I do know I've heard from all of you on council that there are either questions or comments that you'd like to see. And so I'd like to make sure that we're providing opportunity for everybody to participate that. So we have our table of contents, which I don't believe anything on table of contents. Okay. The first one, application, governance, and interpretation. Thank you. Definitions. Councillor Sambo.
Thank you, Your Worship. Okay, let's go. So actually, I think that a definition we might be missing is debate and what you would think about adding debate. So in the procedural bylaw, we talk about debate, comment, and discussion. For clarity, we might be able to add that.
Thank you. I would like to pass that question along to our CAO, Mr. Vincent.
Most definitely, a definition of debate would be very helpful in there. And there is an excellent definition of debate that's in Robert's Rules of Order that can be incorporated in there. So I would suggest that that would become item number 3 on page number 5 or page 25 of your agenda package. It would become item number 3.17. That all the definitions are alphabetical.
Yes,
So
yeah.
that's where it would fit in.
Okay. Thank you. I believe I saw a hand to my left about Councillor Wozanowski.
Yeah, the only comment I'll make to that, to Councillor Sandbo's suggestion, is if we add debate as a definition to ensure that we update the formatting of the word debate to be capitalized in the rest of the document.
Okay, thank you. Any other thing on definitions? Councillor Narayan.
Thank you, and through the chair, actually, if I could go back to application, governance, and interpretation, point 2.4, which reads, meeting procedure is a matter of interpretation by the chair, subject to the rights and privileges of members. I find that particular clause somewhat ambiguous because within the bylaw, it does state that the bylaw covers the MGA, Robert's Rules, and I think, there is a gap in our bylaws. We do get guided by Latch Services as well as the CEO. My concern with 2.4 is that it's a bit of a slippery slope when you think of it, because it reads that the meeting procedure is a matter of interpretation by the chair. So I have absolutely every confidence in our chair, but yes, but just moving on, and I think the bylaw should be designed in a way that's proactive. So I'm open to hear from other members of council as to what they think of it. I just feel that we could probably go without that particular clause. Thank you.
Councillor Sambo.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, maybe as a question to Councillor Narayan, I don't know about that one, but tying into it a comment, there's several places throughout the procedural bylaw where it says definitively this is the rule unless the chair says otherwise. And maybe that's something to consider throughout.
Councillor Ryan.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Sambo, and through the chair. Yes, historically I have seen this particular clause or something to its effect being used quite loosely, which is why I'm just being a bit more prudent because it does give the chair of the day a lot of discretion as to how they would interpret. I just feel that we do have guiding documents, our bylaws being one of them. Then we've got, like I said, the Roberts Rules and the MGA. So there shouldn't be much room or opportunities for the chair to interpret things. So I don't want to use the word guess. I think, with the documents that we have, and again, the guidance of Latch Services, the chair, will have the guidance. And I think it's just a lot of power and a lot of responsibility on the chair to start interpreting things that's not within a bylaw.
So then if I may, Councillor Narayan, in looking at 2.4 and then looking at 2.5, are you suggesting that meeting procedures and matters, so are you suggesting that we could just eliminate 2.4? Because I'm wondering even if 2.5 covers it anyway, that if a question does arise in regards to we can't figure out what we want to do with that, and there's some debate going, even possibly there could be a situation with Ledge Services. The next one says that it can be decided by a majority of council, so then taking that away from the one person. So if we just eliminated 2.4, went with 2.5, would you suggest that that would speak to your concern?
Thank you, and through the chair. And yes, correct. I think 2.5 does cover that. I just think, again, 2.4 is just, too ambiguous.
Okay. So then the suggestion for the amendment would be to remove 2.4. Correct? Okay. Good. Okay, so then we are back on to then...
I'll just make a comment on that. Yes, I agree.
Councillor Warzanowski?
Sorry, through the chair. I agree with Councillor Narayan that we can remove 2.4, just keeping in mind Councillor Sandbo's comment that if there's any other areas of interpretation, that we make those updates throughout this bylaw as well.
Thank you. Good. Okay. On to page 6 then. This has 3.9 through to 3.28. Seeing none. On to page 7. So we have the finishing of some definitions, and then meetings would be the next section. I have one here, and it is this one. That is on point 2. It says that the CAO shall call the meeting to order and shall preside over the meeting until every councillor has made and subscribed to the official oath in office. I would like to see us have a sign, councillors and future councils sign their oaths of office at the swearing in, which would then make this point mute. Because once we sign our oaths of office, now we are councillors. So then when we show up at our first meeting, when we come in for the organizational meeting. So you may remember we did this a little bit where official administrator Doug Legore started the meeting, and then started the organizational meeting. We all went outside. We did the swearing in thing. We did the photos. We came back in, and that's when I took that on because we had sworn the oath of office. Since we are taking this out, I believe that we can remove number 2 in its entirety because it's redundant.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd offer that you do some editing to read as follows. The mayor shall call the meeting to order and shall preside over the meeting, period, and delete all the rest. And I think that achieves what his worship is just mentioning, but somebody needs to call the meeting to order.
That's right. That's fair. Okay. So yeah, so then the recommendation would be just to add the merits of the CAO and eliminate everything else. Good? Okay. Sorry, Councillor Sambo.
Thank you, Your Worship. A question on that one. Is there any language in the MGA that says we can or can't change that, or where did this original clause come from?
So this original clause came from that the city of Chestermere made the swearing in a part of an organizational meeting, which then made it that the CAO had to call it, right? So from speaking with our CAO, many other municipalities do not have it as part of their procedural bylaw, right? They have a swearing in ceremony. The oaths of office are signed there. Once you sign your oath of office, you are then allowed to call the meeting.
Your worship, members council, I was trying to quickly find the section in the MGA, and it specifically says that the CAO calls the organizational meeting to order because the normal practice is not to have members of council sworn in before the organizational meeting. But because council is looking at having a swearing-in ceremony as a separate event prior to the organizational meeting, then we don't have to comply with the requirements of the MGA, because the mayor is sworn in, he can automatically take the chair.
Well, and to that point, if for some reason that hadn't happened, the MGA trumps this anyway, right? We can't make bylaws that supersede the MGA anyway, right? So then we would be completely onside. Okay. The next one that I have is just a small one, is under number 4. All member seating arrangements except the chair as their seat is designated shall be determined by the chief administrative officer drawing names. I would suggest just adding chief administrative officer or designate. So that because this is literally what happened to us, right? The CAO did designate somebody else for the drawing of the numbers for us to know where we're sitting. So I think just a small change to add or designate. Councillor Worzanowski?
If we're going to add as designate for drawing names, we should also look at the entire document to see if there's any other designations that we want to potentially add. Are there any other designations? I mean, I've read the entire document, but if there's going to be a designation, we should give the CEO the ability to provide a designate.
Councillor Sambo?
Thank you, Your Worship. Under the definitions of Chief Administrative Officer, it does say appointed by council or his or her designate pursuant to the Act.
Yeah.
So that might cover it without adding that additional language.
It does.
Does. Okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
And then moving down for me, so this one will obviously change under 6.1. That will go to governance and priority. And then under 6.3, just adding the wording to reflect the alphabetical order as reflected later in the document for deputy mayor. So all members who serve as deputy mayor for up to 4 months as selected alphabetically, or as selected per, and I believe it's 8 point. Thank you.
6.2. Well, that section is 6 on the deputy mayor. Oh, no, it's not.
5 point.
6 is council.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what number?
5.2.2.
Okay.
Thank you. Are we able to turn the page here then?
No.
Okay. Councillor Worzanowski?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. One of the, what number are we? 5 point.
We're currently page 8, number 6.
One moment, please. Yeah, the only comment I have is we have been sworn in through a by-election that some of us will not be able to serve as deputy mayor during this term. So I'd like to suggest that we give the opportunity to amend the bylaw such that we have the opportunity, each as council, to serve as deputy mayor in a shortened election schedule.
Mr. Vincent?
Your worship, members council, certainly that's possible. And given that we have 6 members council and you're going to have about 15 months, each member of council could get 2 months and possibly one member of council would get a second term for about 2 months as well. And so we can certainly amend the bylaw that members who serve as deputy mayor shall do so at the appointment for the duration as per the appointment of council. And this where there's not any time limit, and come back after the next general election in October 2025 and reestablish the 4-month period. I give council all the flexibility that they need. So if a member of council wishes only to serve 1 month, then council could make that appointment and appoint somebody for a period of 3 months if that was so chose. So it gives council complete flexibility in that sense.
If we left it as 4 months, could we not make a resolution that, and then that resolution would be, so leave the bylaw as is, but then make a resolution that for this particular council, we would be doing exactly what Councillor Warzanowski is suggesting?
I would not advise that because you have your bylaw which sets out the parameters.
Yeah.
And so to change the parameters, technically, you need to amend your bylaw.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Through the chair, just a comment. The way the bylaw is worded is it says for a term for up to 4 months. So it's not prescribing it has to be 4 months, the way the bylaw is written. So
That's true.
I think you could, as a group, decide that maybe you want 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, and this, the way this is worded, would keep you procedurally correct.
Okay. Councillor Sambo?
You agree with that assessment, Pat?
I certainly do. Very good point, Mr. Edney. Thank you so much.
Okay. Say on the same thing? Okay, Councillor Sambo?
Thank you, Your Worship. There's another section on page 17. It actually does say the term of deputy mayor is 4 months. I would like to offer the comment that I think having flexibility in this is a good idea. We have lots of different reasons why we might want to change this term for whatever reason. Changing a bylaw is a big process. I know somebody who is in line for deputy mayor is able to decline. Mm-hmm. I wonder if we as council agreed that we were going to have shortened terms, whether we could, after 2 months, each of us choose to step down from that role so that the next person in line would be able to step in as deputy mayor without needing to amend the bylaw.
Yes, thank you. I think Mr. Edney speaks to it really well. And then later, as Councillor Sambo, as you're saying, if we make sure that that section also says up to, right, then we'll be able to accomplish what Mr. Warzanowski is getting at. And then we can, even at our next council meeting, outline the terms for each councillor from now till the end of the term. Good?
No.
Not good.
Just one comment I'd like to make.
Your mic's off.
Oh, I had it on. Thank you, Mayor Dean, and to the CAO. Further to your commentary, and Councillor Sambo, I understand that we want to have some of that flexibility, but we also want to give some opportunity for each councillor to serve during whatever term that is. And the reason for that is if there's not alignment throughout council, throughout their term, then it still has some representation of each councillor as we go forward. So I'd like to firm up the minimum amount of term. Certainly each councillor has the ability to decline, but I think it should be term-based as opposed to selected by council.
Yes, that's what we're saying. So what we're saying is that because it says up to 4 months, we leave it like that. And then what we could do even at the August 13th council meeting is literally outline which 2 months everybody's going to serve from now to the end of the term.
Okay, now that thank you, Chair, and to the CEO. The CEO suggested that we can always make it a council decision, and I'm suggesting otherwise. So yes, if we're going that direction, perfect.
Yeah, that's what
excellent.
I'm saying. Yeah. Okay. Good. Everybody's good on that section?
So, Your Worship, just a clarification on that clause, the members who will serve as deputy mayor up to 4 months as selected under section 5.2.2?
Yes.
I'm trying to find that cross-reference and I'm not finding it. So could you help me on that? So the cross-section or the cross-reference is simply to section 2 titled Deputy Mayor.
Yes,
Thank you.
that's correct.
Good.
Good?
I'm on board.
Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you. So then, turning over, and one that I have here on the next page, which would be page 9 of the procedural bylaw, page 29 of our agenda package, is governance and priorities meeting. I wonder if this should be changed to governance and priorities committee as opposed to meetings, because this is the formation of the committee, right? Because then the rest of the language will make a little bit more sense, because we're not creating the governance and priorities meeting, we're creating that committee. Right? And then at the discretion of council, governance and priorities committee comprising all members of council may be established, and then governance and priorities committee shall meet during the dates and times committed. So instead of having it as like the committee, just outlining each time that it's governance and priorities committee. Okay, thank you. Anything else on page 9 here? Councillor Sambo.
Thank you, Your Worship. Actually, backing up a page, my apologies if I missed the discussion on this while I was reading. 4.6.1 still says Committee of the Whole meeting.
Yeah, I mentioned, yeah.
We did? Okay, apologies.
No need to apologize. This is it's a hefty bylaw we're going through, but I think it's important because this is the one that affects how we run every day. So I think it's important for us to do this work. Councillor Warzanowski.
Yeah, and then thank you, and through the chair to the CAO. I know you'd clarified it, but it's right there under 4.1.6. No, wait, 4.16, number 3 is where the members serve as deputy for up to 4 months. So
Yes.
that's where the discrepancy is. Okay,
Yeah.
you caught that. Great,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay. So then we are now on to page 10. 11. On page 10. Councillor Randhawa.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. I have on number 10. So 4.3.2, as where it say if the quorum is presented at the time the set. So there, I just need to add it, and I know we know the deputy mayor will carry. So, and the mayor is absent, and the deputy mayor shall call the meeting in order, if both. So I just need to add it where the but is. They're saying the but, the first line, and then carry on the full thing. Can we add that one?
So on number 2.
On number 2.
So if quorum is present at the time for commitment, but the mayor and deputy mayor are absent, those members in attendance shall choose the member of council to preside over the meeting.
So, so I just need to add it, the mayor, if the mayor is absent, then deputy mayor shall call the meeting.
Yes, Mr. Vincent?
Your Worship, members, council agree with Councillor that there should be a clarification. There's actually 2 sections and one is missing. So as Councillor has identified, if the mayor is absent, then the deputy mayor shall call the meeting to order. And the second phrase would be, if the mayor and deputy mayor
Yes.
are both absent, then carry on. So.
You agree with that, Councillor Randhawa? Good.
I have a comment.
Councillor Warzanowski?
Thank you, Mayor Dean, and to the CAO. I think we have to be careful, further to Councillor Sandbo's point earlier. We want to make sure that we don't have these competing clauses. I believe earlier in the bylaw, we do say that the deputy mayor is the designate of the mayor, and here it's called the chair, so the deputy mayor would be the chair if the mayor wasn't present automatically. So I would suggest we just leave the clause as is.
Okay. To that, then, we have a motion on the floor. through the CEO to Ledge Services, if we have a motion on the floor and there's a disagreement about something that wants to be added and or taken away, can we make a motion within that to vote whether that should stay or go?
Your worship, members of council, I would suggest to yourself that you're doing that kind of debate right now.
Yeah.
In the final essence, you would propose a motion to amend the bylaw incorporating all these changes.
Yeah.
And this will be one item. So a member could ask to sever the question to deal with that one item.
That's right.
You can vote on it.
Okay.
If it's carried, then it becomes part of the main amendment again.
So then my suggestion on these ones where maybe we're not having a unanimous agreement right now at second reading, Councilor Randall would maybe make a note of that for yourself, and then we can bring that back as Mr. Vincent is suggesting, because we're going to get a whole new red line version of this coming now for third reading.
Right.
Mr. Edney.
Yeah, through the chair, appreciate. If I may just offer a comment to Councillor Woronowski's, I guess, concept of keeping things clear and simple. Item under 5.2.2.3 on page 17, it explicitly says, to his point, that if the mayor isn't there, the deputy mayor will chair the meeting.
Yeah.
So I think you're covered off in your definition of chair, the clause talking about the chair and the deputy mayor being there. So I would agree with that assessment, and that the bylaw is worded concisely and properly at this point to cover that.
Okay.
So we
Councillor
offer
Sameh.
your worship to Councillor Randhawa is that your point is acknowledged and it is covered off in another section of the bylaw for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Sambo.
Thank you, Your Worship. A comment for the rest of council through you, when considering which of those we might want to do, I think either of those options are suitable. As we're looking through the bylaw to take a look at the level of specificity in other sections, and for continuity, I would suggest we just do the same. I do find this bylaw to be a little inconsistent. Sometimes it's very specific, sometimes it's not. Perhaps we can consider that and come back to it.
And a half hour ago, but
Through the chair, yes, you are correct. Kent actually made the point I was going to make, though. So,
okay, great, thank you.
Mr. Edney.
Thank you. Just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anybody. So then I believe we're now on to page 10. Great, thank you. Page 11. The only comment I had on there is I don't think we need to change anything within the bylaw, but just as a reminder that yes, a member should leave the room on the pecuniary interest and on the conflict of interest within our bylaw. However, just a reminder that a member does not lose their right as a citizen. And so that could change if it was a public hearing to which that member would sign up to speak to. So it doesn't trump anything within the MGA, and just as a reminder that you don't actually lose your right as a citizen. And so if you had that conflict of interest, you could have opportunity to speak if you signed up like a resident would on that conflict of interest. Councillor Narayan?
Thank you, through the worship, and thanks for making the comment. Actually, I was going to bring that up as well. Just wondering if we should maybe incorporate that, though,
Maybe we
within
should.
the bylaw. Because no, I think you were correct, and we heard that during orientation that where there is a possible conflict of interest, the council member does not cease to be a resident and may still sit. So if we can just make that clearer. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, through the CEO to Ledge Services, if we could just have, I believe it'd be adding a sentence basically, just with that clarity, that would be great.
Your worship, members of council, I would caution you not to do this.
Okay.
Because the procedural bylaw is dealing with council as an elected official in your role of councillor. And it does not cover the councillor as a private citizen. It's just simply a right you have to recognize and council needs to understand. But putting it into the bylaw, I think, supersedes the parameters of the purpose of the bylaw, and that's governing council as an elected official and acting in their official capacity.
So your suggestion then would be based on the idea that this governs what we do on this side of the desk anyway. We all understand the rights that exist on that side of the desk. This totally governs what we do here, and we shouldn't touch what happens. Okay, thank you.
Correct.
Councillor Worzanowski?
Yeah, the only comment I have on 4.4 and 4.5 with the new Bill 20 coming out and the MGA, these are both covered off in both of those documents. Should we review them and just make sure that they're carbon copies such that one does not conflict with the other in the spirit of simplicity?
I think anything to do with Bill 20, we should wait until it's done, and then we'd come back, right? Because Bill 20...
But we do have a clause for the conflict of interest already, so...
No, so that's what I'm saying, is we should leave it as is for now, because until Bill 20 actually becomes official, right, then we could have... Because we already know that there are changes that we're going to have to make to other bylaws once Bill 20 receives royal assent. Okay. Page 12. Yes, Councillor Schindler?
I guess I'm looking for clarity on this. Point of order and point of privilege all say that the chair's decision or the chair's decision on these points is final, and then you head over to 4.9, and any member can then challenge the ruling of the chair. So I want to know if the language is correct. Is it final or is it not final? If I may put that through the chair to administration.
It's the verbiage that has been adopted, Your Worship, members of council, from previous bylaws, and the intent. If you read Robert's Rules of Order, the chair's decision is always final unless it's challenged. So it's sort of the exception to the rule. So the verbiage is correct in the terms that it's stated, but with the relief for any member of council to be able to challenge a decision. So is it final in the sense that it can be challenged? And just like any other judicial process, whether it's a provincial court, the Alberta Supreme Court, those decisions are final unless they're challenged and be challenged all the way up to the Supreme Court of Canada. So I would suggest that the wording is appropriate, but with the understanding nothing's final until it's final. So,
okay. Does that satisfy that, Councillor Schindler?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Moving forward then, Councillor Worzanowski.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Dean, and to the CAO. Should we be considering some of these as part of our definitions as well? Point of order, there's a comment about it, but it's not defined. And some of those other point of privilege, etc.
Your Worship, through the chair to members of council, I don't think it's necessary because in the bylaw it refers to the Robert's Rules of Order for conducting business, and because those definitions are within Robert's Rules of Order, I think it would be redundant. But.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we are now on to 33, page 33 of our agenda packages, page 13 of the bylaw. Good. Next one is on page 34. Page 14. The only question I had is, should we add governance and priorities meetings in regards to streaming those as well? So we are streaming regular council meetings, public hearings, and special meetings, with now the provision of re-adding governance and priorities. Should those be listed as one that we stream as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Page 15, this is under conduct. 16. 17. So we've already talked about the deputy mayor piece. Deputy mayor?
Through the chair. So in item 5.2.2.2, I think it looks like, we talk about the alphabetical order of the deputy mayor, but it doesn't specifically state in which order. I mean, we're all going with normal nomenclature where we're going in the ascending order, but if Councillor Warzanowski wanted to state we can go in the reverse order, would that still not be applicable? So I think we can just add some language there just to provide more clarity. So I believe this rule is put in to create unity in the beginning of a council. So I think we really need to lay out how it is, and maybe it's fine, maybe it's not. I just thought I should bring it up.
Yeah, I think council could have opportunity to pick which way they want to go within that, right? I do think that we already spoke to this, that we need to add up to 4 months in here as well. But Mr. Vincent, I would pass that on to you.
Your worship, members of council, having been disadvantaged my whole life by having my surname V always second last in the whole thing, I was always somewhat had hurt feelings. So I appreciate my friend Councillor Rob and his lot in life as well. So certainly alphabetical order means starting at the front of the alphabet. I would suggest that you'd add the words or after alphabetical order or reverse alphabetical order. That gives council the opportunity to start at A or start at Z, whatever council's desire is.
Good.
And that provides
Thank you.
an opportunity.
Great. Okay. Moving on to the other side now. Page 18. Councillor Sambo.
Thank you, Your Worship. Under discussion, this is 5.3.4. Members may only speak twice on any subject, once in debate and once to ask questions. Members shall not exceed 5 minutes. The chair can permit an extension. I'm wondering, Mayor Dean, what your interpretation of that is. Frequently already in our council meetings, we've gone back and forth several times, so that's you permitting an extension. And how do you want to manage those times when we need to go back and forth a few times? Is this sufficient?
Yeah, so what I would say is this is put in there for provision if we... I want to encourage discussion. I think discussion is important. I think I'm demonstrating that today where we're going page by page through a bylaw, right? And what I meant to say at the beginning is I was already waiving the you can only speak twice piece. I think that this is important to leave in there with the flexibility. And I actually don't know yet when this would be invoked, because under my leadership, my plan is to encourage as much conversation and as much involvement from every councillor as possible. And I think, though, that where this could come in is if we've come to a moment where we can't move forward, I think it is the role of the chair to then move that meeting forward, and that chair needs to have a little bit of teeth, if you will, in the bylaw to be able to do that. And I think that that's what this part puts in. Good. Okay. On the next side, we are now, we have 6.2, 6.3, 6.4. This one talks about that we're going to advertise the regular meeting. Should it be the regular meetings, and would those include governance and priority, or should we add governance and priorities in terms of the advertising of the meetings as well? I would put that through CAO to Alleged Services. Sorry, 6.3.
Your worship, members of council, we should add the words governance and priorities.
Thank you.
Once council determines their regular meeting schedule and governance and priorities meeting schedule at the organization, that schedule shall be advertised. That's been the practice, but it's not specified within the bylaw. It should be.
Great, thank you. Under agenda format, I had a question through both to all of council and through the CEO to Ledge Services being, I'm wondering if it's possible, when we first got elected in 2021, we had this and then we took it away. And it's something that I thought was useful is that we had a template. It was a very, very simple template. So this is a template, sort of, but it has all of the definitions, everything in it. Like to just read our template is a cup of coffee and a half. And so I'm wondering if it would be possible for us just to create a template of this is what a council meeting could look like. And then we know that we're not going to have all those items on every council meeting, right? So that when we get together for our to finalize the agenda for the upcoming week, we just remove some of those items. But I think it would be helpful if we had a template that is, this is the template for what a regular meeting looks like without all of the definitions, just a very simple one-page template. I was wondering if we could have that created and have that as part of our procedural bylaw.
Your worship, that would be easy to accomplish, and I would suggest that it be formulated and attached as a schedule to the
Yes.
bylaw.
Great.
So you don't have to change the bylaw to change your template, and you're free to do, but we can ensure that Schedule A is added as a council template.
Great, thank you. Turning over to the next page, two other comments I had is just a reminder that a declaration of conflict of interest, as a reminder, can be declared at any time. Right, so this is something that we talked about during our orientation. We could literally be in the middle of a conversation. It's almost, I forgot that I was doing that this week. So just as a reminder of that, because the bylaw doesn't actually read like that, but that's just a reminder for us as a part of good governance that can happen. And awards and proclamations is actually something I would love to see us use more within our city. So we saw that today with one of our things. I would like to encourage our public to let us know about good things that are happening and accept for information as an awards and proclamations piece, just so that we can recognize we have sports teams that are finding success within our community from all sorts of different programs, whether individual or team, students of the year, things like that. I think it'd be great for council, just as a matter of accepting for information, to celebrate awards and proclamations, and it's already a part of our procedural bylaw. So I just think that's something we should use more. That's my only comment on that. Moving on to the next page, so 7.7, agenda consent. So these are all just parts of the agenda, correct?
Your worship, members council, if I might offer a comment, 7.7 consent agenda. Many councils use this very successfully with a resolution, and when you adopt the agenda, that items that are on the agenda by consent are considered to be dealt with automatically. You have that provision in the bylaw. I've never seen it used. It is something to consider moving forward as you get comfortable with your term in office. There may be things coming forward on future agendas that would be automatic. There's no controversy, and council may want to consider that option. So
Okay, thank you. On page 23, presentation requests must be, at the very top, must be submitted to the CAO or designate no less than 3 weeks prior to the council meeting at which the matter is to be presented. I'm wondering if this timeline is too long. And if we are able to shorten some things to help groups out that may want to present on a more immediate basis, because I do think we have such a dynamic staff that is able to handle some of these things. I'm wondering if it's possible to do that, but this is certainly more of an administrative matter, so I'd put that through to our CAO and to Ledge Services if we could shorten that 3-week timeline.
certainly reducing it from 3 weeks to 2 weeks, I think, is appropriate. And again, it's because of the timeline that we ask our own staff that, normally tomorrow morning I'd have an executive team meeting and we'd be planning already for the next council meeting with deadlines to get things in by next Tuesday or Wednesday. So if we're asking our staff to work with a 2-week time frame, I think it's fair to incorporate 2 weeks here as well.
Okay, great, thank you. Page 24 then. 25. 26. 27. The only thing, one of the things that I was wondering about adding to our procedural bylaw under agendas is a moment of reflection. This is something that I've had opportunity to speak with some other municipalities that they do that I think is a fantastic. And so what it is a lot of them do it right after the land acknowledgement. And it can be used for anything. It can just be a moment of silence. If there was a tragedy that happened in the world, or if there was something that was going on, then a counselor could make a comment and ask for a moment of reflection. And I just think that there's this moment where we're go, right? And then we come into council, and it's like, boom, we just jump into the business. And I wouldn't mind seeing us adding just a moment of reflection. We do the land acknowledgement, because I don't want the land acknowledgement just to be, a item that we do. It's then to take a moment of reflection. So I would like to actually see us add this as part of our council agenda, and would welcome comments on this. I see Mr. Edney's hand.
Sorry, through the chair, I don't have a comment on this particular topic. I was going to make a suggestion going back to the presentation.
Oh, I apologize.
So
We can go back to
hand
that
up.
if
We
you
can
like.
go back to that when you're done this
Oh,
discussion.
we can go back to that one.
Okay, sorry.
No, no need to apologize.
Under item 7.8.4, we've got a conflict now with 7.8.2 where we've said presentation requests should be no less than 2 weeks. Then we also say all the material must be submitted no less than 2 weeks. So
Just
you're
short
not
of 1
going to
week.
have time to approve that request and get it all in on the same day. So I'm wondering if the 2 weeks should be, Pat, maybe 10 days or something that gives you time to review what their presentation material is before it ends on the agenda, because I've found in the past that's an important aspect as well, is not to just include everything that they want to put in their presentation. So
So
Sorry, Your Worship, just for clarification, is that clause 2 on page 23?
Clause
the number 4
Okay.
is now in conflict with number 2, since number 2's been changed to 2 weeks. I think
was-
there should be a difference in time between those two. When you submit your request, the CAO approves it, and at the exact same time, they're required to have all their material in, I think.
So 2 weeks and 10 days.
I would suggest 10 days, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Councillor Schindler?
Could they not submit the request at the same time as submitting the other documents?
I think that would
If I
be
may,
I think
through the
that would
chair.
be the ideal. But there may be some things then, right, that they miss or forget or need to add. And so this just gives us it gives the CAO 2 different options.
Okay.
Right? Because if they submitted everything at once and there's a whole bunch of suggestions, then there's that window to be able to speak to that.
Now, through the chair to administration, would it be overcomplicated to add at the discretion of the CAO? Times can be adjusted.
I would suggest that you try to set out the goalposts for the entire public. And then what happens on occasion, from my experience, is you give some consideration to somebody, and then you don't give the same consideration next party, and they get upset and said, okay, you're playing favorites, you like the other guy, not myself. So I'd be more comfortable if there were extenuating circumstances to use some discretion and advise council accordingly. But I think that fairness is to set the ground rules for the entire community, and everybody knows. And like His Worship, I refereed hockey, know where the boundaries are. So,
Right. Okay. Page 29.
Your Worship, you did not finish the discussion with regards to your moment of reflection.
Yes, sir.
And I want to suggest to you that would be very easy to incorporate in the council agenda template being included as Schedule A. So that'd be very easy to handle.
Great. Thank you. Councillor Sambo?
This was backing up to page 28, if that's okay, Your Worship. Under motions, 8.1.1. This is one I'm hoping we can have a bit of a discussion on. I see some potential for possible abuse there. So what this really says, depending on the definition that we go with for debate, this could potentially be interpreted as the only motions that could be put forward are the ones essentially in the agenda package. Organic motions would be challenging to do that because there wouldn't be any discussion leading to them. So I was hoping to hear some perspectives from the rest of council and administration on this one.
Your worship, members, council, when I read the clause, it seemed very clear to myself. And I think the proviso is that the form of the motion has been verbally moved by council. So until such time as somebody's made the actual motion, whether it's in the agenda package or not, council is not required to move the motion that's recommended in the agenda package. Council always has the flexibility to move a totally different motion or to do any change in wording or verbiage that they feel is appropriate that better reflects the outcome that they wish. So I think the proviso is no matter may be debated or voted on unless council in its it is in the form of a motion that has been verbally moved. And I think that's the key there, is that you can't vote on anything that hasn't been moved, and it's acceptable that you don't need to have a written submission. The requirement is a verbal motion.
Does that speak to
that? Thank you, Your Worship. It may. I think procedurally it all tracks. I think if, and thinking of future councils as well, I think if you have new councillors coming in with maybe a little less experience, they might not understand all the scenarios in which you can bring a motion forward. So perhaps we're discussing something, this has actually happened to us already, perhaps we're discussing something and a separate topic comes up and a councillor would like to make a motion. This might discourage some people from bringing a separate kind of motion forward.
I see what you're saying.
Right.
Oh, thank you. Well, there are provisions in for that, right? There's the severing of a motion, there's splitting a motion out, there's finishing off a motion and then coming back to it, right? There's tabling. So there's a whole section within this that I believe provides all those provisions where we are able to do that. So I think we're good.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. It makes me a little uncomfortable, but I think also appropriate orientation with councillors helps with this as well. So everybody understands what their rights are as councillors, how to bring things forward. That does help as well.
Well, and I think too, what I appreciate is that our CAO and our ledge services have been doing a great job of, yes, you can do this, no, you can't do that, right? And then if we bump up against something here over the next couple of months where we're like, then it'll give us that opportunity. There may also be a time here for a moment just for our ledge services just to review this motion section with the comments that have now been provided by Councillor Sambo. And perhaps on your own, there might be some suggestions you might come back to us with third reading that would speak to that. Would that satisfy that piece as well, to allow ledge services just to have a review of that section?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship.
Okay. Councillor Schindler?
I have a question about 7.16. We have on there new business. I noticed that we don't generally have this on our agenda as a line item. I would like to ask the question through the chair. Is there a reason why we don't necessarily have new business on our agenda regularly?
Yes, thank you. So this is what I'm getting back at with wanting to do that template. So that we can flesh that out moving forward. And so what I would suggest right now, what has been happening is we have been set up for really great success for our first few council meetings as we get going. I would suggest you're going to see our regular council meeting minutes become a little bit thicker, meatier going forward. From conversations that I've had with our CAO and with Ledge Services, it's kind of let's start some things. We'll get these things going, right? Attend orientation. The other thing that's important is our strategic planning that's coming up, right? Because it's the strategic planning that really informs the work of the staff. And so, for example, on this one, this would be a really good thing for us to even talk about at strategic planning, that these are some things that we're looking at, and that's going to help then inform that template, which is then going to help inform the rest of the work that we're going to be doing.
I know one of our key principles is no surprises, and so could this new business section cause issues with that, or should we be vetting these things ahead of time?
Your worship, members, council, two thoughts to share. First of all, in terms of having an agenda template, whether or not there's any items under there, those headings should be standardized and appear on every agenda. New business would be business that may be referred to council by governance and priorities, or is simply new business that has not been dealt with previously. That isn't always the case. Oftentimes on council agendas, there may be business arising, there may be reports, but there may not be a specific item under new business that would appear on the agenda, but the heading would be there. And as Councillor Schindler has indicated, administration would not be bringing anything onto the agenda as new business without having included it in the agenda prior to. So there will be no surprises. And council can always deal under their procedural bylaw, and I think it's by a 2/3 vote, to deal with any matter that may come forward. It may be an emergent item, or it may be an item council's interested in dealing with at a council meeting, can do so by voting to deal with the item, as long as there's sufficient information or a report that council can deal with. But if there's a verbal presentation asking for council to deal with a matter, I would be strongly recommending council not to accept and deal with such an item.
Mm-hmm. Councillor Wozinowski.
Yeah, in the spirit of, thank you, Mayor Dean, in the spirit of Councillor Sandbo's and Councillor Schindler's commitment to formality and discourse, I want to back up to page 25 in regards to the bylaws. And this is maybe a question through the chair and the CAO and Legislative Services under bylaws that says, in accordance with the Act, every bylaw has to be read 3 times. Is that like a minimum? Is that a maximum? It doesn't really say in the bylaw. Pardon me?
MGA.
Oh, it's in the MGA. Okay. I was just wanted that clarification, because going through this bylaw, it seems as though we may not get all of our revisions even at the 3rd reading. And if we do, then what do we do then?
No, then you wouldn't pass 3rd reading.
Okay.
So all bylaws have to go through 3 readings.
Yeah.
Right? So procedurally what will happen is, I don't believe we're going to go to 3rd reading today. Kallen shaking his head.
We won't.
We will not be going to 3rd reading today. What will happen is Ledge Services will take all of these revisions back. We'll pass 2nd reading as amended. What that means is all of these amendments that we have been talking about, Ledge Services has been recording, they're going to have, then they come back with a red line version of this for 3rd reading, and then we decide if everything's there or not. You can still make amendments, right? So when the motion gets called for 3rd reading, what you can say is, oh, actually, Mr. Mayor, I wanted to have this last one added, and then, because you can still make amendments. After you pass 3rd reading, then there's a whole other process to bring a bylaw back. I believe it's 6 months.
That's only if it's defeated.
Oh, if it's defeated, that's correct. Yeah. But then there's a whole other process to do 3 readings again. But yeah, the 3 readings is MGA. Okay, good.
Your worship, members, council, just to remind, and it is procedural, and it's an important aspect because council can only act in 2 ways, by resolution or by bylaw. Mm-hmm. And so as we had suggested during the orientation, the process, and 7.12 sub 2 in accordance with the Act refers to the Municipal Government Act, and I think that's in the definitions. So it clearly states in that legislation the process. So you required 3 separate readings, and this comes from English law, where they actually read out the entire legislation each time. That's why it's called 3 readings. So you'd be sitting here for a number of hours reading this entire bylaw in its entirety out. And it was because people were illiterate at that particular time. So they read the bylaw out so people understand what's the proposed change in the law. And they gave notice, hence the 3 readings. In order for government not to act too quickly, there's a requirement, if you're going to give all 3 readings in a single sitting, you must have unanimous consent of all those elected. Now, a council can be at a quorum of 4, could be 5, could be 6, or it could be all 7 members. It must be unanimous of those members present to go to the 3rd and final reading because of the seriousness of the action by enacting that particular legislation. So when council gives first reading and then sets the matter over to a subsequent council meeting, council does not need unanimous consent at 2nd or 3rd reading to pass each of the reading. It's simply a majority vote. So clearly, it's a caution that you are in a very powerful position, and you must respect that. And it also speaks to the matter of council being observant and responsive to their public. Yeah, and give them a chance to understand where you're going, what you're doing. And if they approve or disapprove, they have an opportunity through all channels to convey their issues and concerns back to council. So,
Great, thank you. Page 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 38. I had one, so under, right in the middle of page 38, it says, maybe, about tabled motions, may be made at a regular meeting, but not at a special meeting unless the notice of the matter tabled was provided in the notice of the special meeting. Should we also add that it cannot be at governance and priority, like you can't lift from the table at governance and priority? Should that be added?
Your worship, members, council, won't be necessary because we're talking about motions at council meeting, which are decisions.
Perfect.
Council cannot make decisions in governance and priority. They can provide direction to administration, bring things forward to research, but they cannot make decisions at governance and priorities, so it's non-applicable.
That's exactly why I was wondering if we should add it. So the fact that you can't do it anyway, I guess would cover that off. Okay, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. The question I had on 43 was under 10.2, written submissions, electronic submissions, verbal submissions. To be included in the agenda and provided to council, written submissions must be received prior to the advertised submission deadline and include the following. So does this mean that when we get written submissions, that they should be provided to council in the agenda package?
They usually are.
The CEO to Pledge Services, my bad. Sorry.
Written submissions are gathered around Thursday and then sent over to Liz. They are put into our reports, We just haven't had a public hearing since you've been elected.
Okay.
And sometimes we don't get any submissions at all.
Okay.
Past a certain, because we have to publish the agenda on Thursday, so anything after Thursday up into Monday at noon, which is legislatively required, we print them out and we read them to council.
Fantastic. Great. Thank you.
Your worship, members, council, the answer is unequivocally yes.
Thank you.
Any submission that is made that comes before council cannot be vetted, cannot be screened, cannot be obstructed from being presented to council. That's every citizen's right. The council deserves, the resident deserves, and council deserves to know what information and what it is. The individual who does so waives their right to privacy under FOIP, because it is going to be a public submission to council.
Great.
So other than maybe personal information such as a phone number and their signature, but their name will be identified in their particular submission. That's part of the conditions.
Councillor Sambo.
Thank you, Your Worship, and a question either to you or through to Interim CAO Vincent. In previous, I've made submissions before, and my personal information has been included more than my name. What information needs to be included and what can be removed?
Certainly, Your Worship, to the chair, to Councillor Sambo, and to all of council members, we need to have sufficient information to know who we're contacted with, that it's not a fake name, a fake account, etc. So normally need a name, address, email, telephone number. This way we can correspond with that particular individual. But we're also governed by FOIP. Mr. Morrison and his staff are very well educated and practiced in doing that. So in reviewing that, we ensure the conditions of privacy. So things that I would ensure were removed is the signature, likely the address, and the phone number to comply. But your written name or your typed name on that particular submission would be public information. Yeah, that would be the correct procedure. And I don't know, Mr. Morrison, if there's anything additional that we would be screening, but that's the general rule of thumb.
Okay.
Thank you.
45, 46, 47, 48, and last page 49. Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, through the worship. Point 12.1. Why does it say deleted?
Through
Are we
that
are
would
we
be,
deleting that, or?
through the CAO to Ledge Services?
I think it was a typo.
Okay.
All right, cheers.
Lauren, you want that left in, do you?
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Okay. Yes, Councillor Ryan's really passionate about that sentence.
Yeah.
We'll just
The most important section. Thank you.
awesome. Well, that was.
Sorry.
Sorry, Councillor Worzanowski.
I just have two comments. One comment, and this may be nitpicky, so I apologize through the chair, through the CAO and Ledge Services. If we can move the clauses to the next page, if there's no any type of words beneath them. Not necessary, but just a recommendation. And secondly, should we queue our procedural bylaw to be reviewed in a certain amount of time, or if there's an MGA or bill revision from municipal affairs of the province?
Your Worship, to the chair, to Councillor Worzanowski, and to all of council members, I thank you very much for the suggestion and formatting. I like perfection and moves toward that. That's the gold standard. With regards to review, normally the procedural bylaw is reviewed on a 4-year cycle, and it's by each of the new councils. So it should be reviewed at the end of your current term, which will be September, October next year, to make sure it's in order for the incoming council. And as part of the orientation process council's taken through the procedural bylaw gives them the opportunity to make any adjustments that they would like. So there's no requirement under the MGA, but certainly under best practices, that is the standard.
Great. Good. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Okay. About 7 hours ago, we made the motion for second reading. So I'm wondering if we should. Oh, sorry, Councillor
Sorry,
Shannon.
if I just may be a little bit formatting wise. I know I would appreciate if when we go through this document and we adjust the numbers, if we could put through each line the correct section numbers. For example, if we're looking at 10.5 and then we have 10.5.1, I sometimes forget what section I'm in. So if I go to the next page, page 48, I see subsection 13. If I could have that 10.5.13 on that page, that or just on each of the line items. And I know that's a little nitpicky, but it's kind of like it's like reading the building code. Building code does that, so that just makes it easier instead of flipping pages. And
No, it's a great suggestion.
and yeah, helps the public, I think, as well.
That's a great
Thank
suggestion.
you kindly.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Okay, I would like to have us just restate that motion. I don't remember who made the motion to begin with. Was that you, Councillor Rendawa?
It was, sorry.
Councillor Rendawa, can you just restate the motion for the second reading?
Thank you, Your Worship. By the motion that Council gives second reading to bylaw -023-24, excuse me, being an amendment to the procedural bylaw.
Thank you. Through the CAO to Ledge Services, this satisfies with all the other amendments? No, I don't think it does.
Your Worship, yes, in my opinion, we've
It does.
got it covered.
Well, I believe that we've captured them all.
Yeah.
Yes?
We just wanted to confirm for council if there's any doubt. I've made extensive notes throughout the bylaw,
Right.
and I know Mr. Morrison and myself will be reviewing to make sure everything's looked after perfectly. So,
Yeah, I trust that the next step in this process is going to be, the amendments are going to be made, council's going to be provided with that. We've all made extensive notes ourselves that we're going to be able to go through, and third reading will be a much quicker process for third reading. So, then, any other comments, questions about the motion? Call for the vote.
what time is it?
Great, thank you. And that's passed. I'm going to suggest that we take a 5-minute recess. Would that be okay with everybody? Okay. We'll come. Great, thanks everybody. We're just coming back and moving on now to our reports for information, starting at 6.1, which is the update on Rainbow Road South.
Thank you. So today I would like to provide a status update for the Rainbow Road expansion project from Merganser Drive to Waterford Boulevard. So the city of Chestermere remains as one of the fastest growing communities in Canada. As part of the 2017 Transportation Master Plan update, 3 new street classifications were introduced: connectors, livable streets, and local streets. These are designed to offer a variety and flexibility for all age groups and modes of transportation. Rainbow Road is a key north-south corridor in Chestermere with plans for a future interchange connection to Highway 1. Currently, the road extends south from Chestermere Boulevard, connecting to Township 240 and Glenmore Trail, Highway 560. So in June 2022, the previous City Council prioritized the expansion of Rainbow Road. Consequently, the project design was implemented and construction is now underway to convert the 2-lane road into a 4-lane arterial road, as detailed in the 2017 TMP for regional connector streets. It's important to note that this project is fully funded by off-site levies collected from developers and does not cost residents any tax dollars. So the information that's provided in this report is intended to provide council with a better understanding of the status for the project and the factors that impacted the project's progress, documenting lessons learned to improve decision-making, design, development, and execution of major capital projects. So in terms of the timeline, so the actual construction for the project started on July 20th, 2023. It experienced some delays since it started, and extra work was added onto the scope of the contracts to finish the project, to get it to the finish line and construct all intersections to their ultimate structure. In 2023, there are 2 major components that got completed on the project. So the twinning and the expansion of the road with the first pavement lift and the 2-lane roundabout at the Merganser Drive intersection. The work that's currently in progress and remaining for this year is the roundabout east approaches, the median and curb work, the left turn bays and channelized right turns at the major intersections, a multi-use pathway on the west side of Rainbow Road, landscaping, new street lights, and the final asphalt top lift and line painting. So for the work that's remaining in 2024, we're expecting all of it to be completed by August 30th of this year. Factors that may impact this completion date include unforeseen weather conditions, such as heavy rain, other unforeseen adjacent projects, subdivision work, and major scope changes. So with the information presented today, I would like to offer for your consideration a motion for council to accept the status update for the Rainbow Road expansion as information. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions or comments from council? Councillor Ryan.
Excuse me, point of order. You should have a motion on the floor before you have discussion, please.
Okay, thank you. Call for the motion. Councillor Ryan.
Thank you. Motion that council accept the status update for Rainbow Road expansion project as information.
Okay. Now, any comments, questions for the presenter? Councillor Ryan.
Thank you through the worship to the CEO and Mr. Henawi. Thanks for the update. This is very encouraging. And I'm sure the community will definitely welcome this update. One of the things that you've mentioned, part of the update, is lessons learned through this particular project. And I'm looking forward to seeing better communication, lighting, things, being a bit more safe while this construction take place. There is a lot of unhappy people. Will continue to be, as this construction is taking place. And I think, communication and also, how one uses a roundabout to ample lights while the construction is taking place. All of this will go a long way in keeping our residents safe and happy. So thanks for the update. Cheers.
Councillor Ryan, if I may speak to that as well, I've been through our CAO having conversations with Growth and Planning about having such an update about lessons learned from projects coming back to us at a future governance and priorities meeting. Hopefully by end of August, but there's a few things that are happening before end of August, like getting this project done. But I've had a great conversation with our CAO and that team about that, and I'm really looking forward to and the work that your team is doing on collecting the data on lessons learned has been phenomenal to be able to see thus far, and I look forward to it coming forward to the public moving forward. Councillor Schindler.
I just through the chair to our presenter. I'm noticing the work in progress and remaining doesn't include signage. Is that something that we're improving, especially around the roundabout? Sorry, go ahead. Your microphone is off? Just push the button. There you go.
Yeah, so signage will definitely part of the project as it gets completed. So signage will be added to along the whole corridor to improve people navigating through it.
Councillor Worzanowski.
Thank you, Chair, through the CAO and to Mr. Henawi. One question, it's just a point of clarification. Rainbow Road, as it transitions to 240, still has the bridge construction. Is that consistent with the information that's being provided here?
Yeah.
The final ashtop lift and line painting all the way through across the bridge as it transitions to 240.
Yeah, so if I may, so these are two separate projects. So the bridge construction is separate from the Rainbow Road expansion. The Rainbow Road expansion spans from Merganser Drive to Waterford Boulevard. The bridge construction is a separate project that's being completed across the canal.
Excellent, thank you.
I believe we're looking end of September-ish for the bridge construction.
For the fall of this year in terms of building the new bridge, correct.
Great, thank you. Any other questions, comments on this particular item? Deputy Mayor? Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Through the chair to the CAO administration. My question is about the roundabouts, and maybe this is too specific for this forum, but I'm wondering if they're going to be a normal roundabout or if they're like the ones that we see in Calgary, where they're more of a guided roundabout.
Sorry, can you clarify?
Driving through Calgary and other local municipalities, some of the roundabouts aren't typical roundabouts where you take the inside lane and then you have the right to exit at any turn you want. They're guided where you have to go in a certain lane and you turn out of a certain lane. So I'm wondering if we've gone through that detail of how that traffic analysis actually works.
Yeah, so in terms of the existing roundabout, so as people are approaching, if they want to go straight through or right, they would hang in the right lane. If they want to make a left, they would hang in the left lane as they're approaching the roundabout.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Liz?
If I may, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge that this is Sammy's first presentation to council since he's joined our organization. You guys wouldn't know that because you're also new, but just acknowledgement that he is the manager of our asset services team, and you will be seeing more of him as these projects and our capital services, capital projects continue to progress.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I've had the opportunity being here on the day-to-day to have a couple of pass-by interactions with Sameh, and my take on him is that you are very passionate about getting some of these things going and seeing an update to work that we've done and contracts and things like that. So I'm excited about the work that's coming out of the department. This is one of those things where I can't wait for some of the updates that are going to be coming through governance and priority. The work that's happening in growth and development right now is exciting. And I can't wait till we can have more of that coming out. So thanks for the work that you're doing. I just have two things. One, we just get it restated just to make sure, because I think that this is really important, because this is something we hear from the public a lot. So all of this work that is happening, the workers that are there, the machines that we're seeing, all of that work, that is not being funded by taxpayer dollars, correct?
That's correct.
Fantastic. I just thought that was good to restate, because that is one of the number one questions that I'm getting. And I also just wanted to pass along a thank you to not only your department, but your department working with comms in getting that messaging out to the public last week about where this was sitting, and for having this presentation ready to go so quickly so that we could get nobody likes necessarily living through a renovation project, but if we know how long a renovation project is going to take, then we can at least see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? If we are going to renovate our kitchen, we know the next 2 weeks are going to be no fun, but at least we know it's the next 2 weeks. So it's exciting to know that Rainbow Road does have a end date coming in mind here for the end of August, and so I do thank you for that information. That's great. Councillor Schindler?
If I just may, through the chair to administration, I am still fielding a lot of questions about this project. Perhaps we can do some more communication to the public in as concise terms as we can, or something that we can do to alleviate some of these stressors, because people are still wondering how or when they get to drive that road.
Yeah, so thank you for that. What I would suggest is, as we're working through, I know that we're going to be seeing some information coming as we get our strategic planning done, and then having presentations from comms coming up in the future. I would encourage people not to just rely on social media as their form of information. So if you are wondering about where to find the official word as to the things that the city is doing, go to chestermere.ca, and there's a section under there called News Flash. And so if you go to News Flash is where our staff do a lot of communication that is happening, especially in regards to our construction projects and things like that. So chestermere.ca is a great resource for those things. Scroll down, click on News Flash, and as well, we also have to just rely on other sources other than just social media for the updates that are coming about this.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And to add to what you noted as well, if the residents or anyone has any questions about the project in specific, they can email us at pmo.chestermere.ca. The project inbox is being monitored closely, and we'll do our best to respond as soon as possible.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And I can confirm that we will continue to work with our communications team and work to ensure that we're putting out communications in a timely manner and providing updates when we have updates.
Mm-hmm. And I would encourage Justice Council, this is something we've already, sorry, Mr. Wilson, this is something that we've already been seeing us do, but even then within, if we are utilizing social media for us to like and share information as the city puts out, if we can help with that as well, I think will help spread that message and spread the accurate information about the projects that are going on. Councillor Worzanowski?
Yeah, the only comment I would make, and we can do this maybe at the end of this project or when the bridge is done, is do a ribbon ceremony or something like that, because this is like you said, it's a big deal, and the residents are patiently anticipating its completion. So I'd just like to make that comment, because I think it's a really big good news story that the residents would love to see as soon as they can start driving across unobstructed, almost from Glenmore Trail to Chestermere Boulevard.
I think that's a great suggestion. We'll use less cones. There just seems to be a lot of cones right now. But I think that's a great suggestion to have the ribbon cutting. So we do have the motion on the floor. If there's no other questions or comments, then call for the vote. Call for the vote. And that's carried. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Thank you. We're now moving on to 6.2, funding approved for City of Chestermere for Alberta Day 2024, presented by Mr. Stephen Burness.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. It's been a while since I've been able to say that. This is just about Alberta Day and what Alberta is doing to help us run this event and how this event really came to be. So Alberta Day is on September 1st every year. It is, to my knowledge at least, that starting in 2023, the government of Alberta has been allowing municipalities to apply for funding specifically for those events. In 2023, the funding came out a little bit late, so we didn't have a lot of time to prep the event, but this year we knew it was coming. So we had it planned and ready, and we're really excited to share it with residents. We applied for the full $10,000 that Alberta is willing to give municipalities in our category. They're categorized by population size, and we got the full $10,000, which is awesome. Our event that we were proposing to the government of Alberta is a Western fair. And what that means is similarly to a Renaissance fair, we would be doing similar activities but with a Western theme, like a spaghetti Western type movie. Things we're hoping to include are live Western actors, staged gunfights, which you may have seen at Bulls on the Beach as well. We're using the same company. We were originally planning on moccasin making classes. We're changing that probably to dream catchers and a blanket exercise just so it can involve more people. We're going to have themed family games, wagon rides, potentially a beer garden. We're going to have themed food trucks. We're going to have hopefully a bannock food truck as well, and a jingle dancer, an Indigenous jingle dancer as well is our hope. I would like to make a small amendment to the request for decision, just risk of having too much fun. And our recommended option is that council make a motion to accept this report as information.
Great, thank you. Call for a councillor to make the motion to accept for information. Councillor Sambo.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move that council accept the report on the Alberta Day funding as information.
Any comments or questions?
My question. Sorry, is it my?
No, all good. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry, I just had a question about the Western theme and the sensitivity to our Indigenous population. Have we done that research to ensure that we're not causing any offense?
Through the chair to Councillor Schindler and the rest of council, we are working very closely with an Indigenous member of the community to try and represent Indigenous culture as well as we can, while also making sure that the event feels safe and comfortable for them. We are doing our best to steer away from anything that would be uncomfortable for the Indigenous community.
If Your Worship, if I might add, and specifically a couple of the activities incorporate the Indigenous community's involvement, such as creation of the dream catchers, the blanket exercise. That blanket exercise I know is a traditional a tradition with the Indigenous communities. In fact, if you're familiar with hand games, blankets are a very important part of hand games, so hence the blanket ceremony has a special cultural significance. As well, I think Stevens tried to stay away from anything that would be stereotypical Western in terms of cowboys and Indians, sort of. When you talked about spaghetti Westerns, that came to mind. But the theme, I think, is very inclusive and sensitive to all of our communities, and invite everybody to come out and celebrate Alberta Day, as we're all very proud Albertans. And I wanted to end with axe the tax. No, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. Anything else?
If I may just add to that, sorry. We are also, I forgot to mention this on the report, but we're also hoping to have a take-home game that is historically Indigenous, so that families can take it home and learn how to play the game and learn more about Indigenous culture as well.
Great. Thank you. Just for a comment for the vote, I just want to thank you and your team for the events that have been happening. For Canada Day, the food event that happened here on the weekend, this event that's coming up, and also an acknowledgement and a thank you to council. We've had much, if not all, of our council at so many events, and people that were not even making it, simply they were out of town. And so I just think it's been so great that our community sees our elected officials out at so many of these events, and also that we're seeing so many staff attending the events as well. So kudos to you and your team for the fantastic work that you're doing. So motions on the floor. If there's no final comments or questions, then I'll call for the vote. Great. Thank you. Thank you. We are now on to 7.1, the appointment of the Integrity Commissioner. This is being presented by Mr. Mike Fluker.
Good morning, Mayor Dean, council members. Over the past several months, I've had the opportunity to get to know some of you, and certainly since the by-election, the rest of council. And it's certainly with great pleasure and pride that I acknowledge the friendship that has begun and developed. I think protocol requires that I introduce myself. So my name is Mike Fluker. I am the Special Projects Coordinator here. I started with the City of Chestermere back on December the 4th of 2023. And my responsibilities here were to provide some security for our CAO, Mr. Vincent. It was supposed to last maybe 4 days. And somewhere in that 4-day period, I recall suggesting to Mr. Vincent that we might want to develop some policies around gathering some evidence and securing that evidence. And he must have liked what I said, because we're now almost 8 months down the road and I'm still here. And I have to say that every day that I've been here has been certainly a very rewarding, very challenging, but it's a great place to work with so many great people. The purpose for me being here today is to present a request for decision that stems from our Bylaw 02-24, which is the Elected Officials Code of Conduct bylaw, which basically states that council is to appoint an integrity commissioner, and I think we refer to it in our bylaw as an investigator. And of course, the purpose of having an integrity commissioner is in the event that an issue comes up with the mayor or council members, that we have an independent third party that will come in and investigate for us. And I think more importantly, it satisfies a couple of issues that have been outstanding. One is the fact that the CUF report will now be complete. Section 2.A.11 of the CUF inspection report is the last recommendation that needs to be addressed, and this request for decision will address that. And in addition, it will satisfy directive number 1 of the ministerial order, which was 002/23. So significant from that point of view. We have done some research into companies that would act for us as an integrity commissioner, and we've ultimately landed on company called Kingsgate Legal. They're based out of Edmonton. They have a significant profile and experience with municipal affairs. They currently act in this capacity for the city of Edmonton and several other municipalities in the province. So I believe that they would be a very significant fit for our Chestermere situation. The gentleman that we're dealing with there, his name was Michael Solomon. The relationship with these people will be simply on a user basis. We will sign an agreement with them, but we pay as we go. So there's no retainer fee. There will be a retainer contract written up. Their fees are reasonable, certainly within line of any other law firm that we might use. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Great, thank you. So then, call for the motion here. Get someone to make the motion. Councillor Schindler.
Wrong one. Motion that council appoint Kingsgate Legal as the city's integrity commissioner.
Great, thank you. Comments, questions? Councillor Wozinowski.
No, in the spirit of our council and the relationship, I think a note of thanks is there that this represents the last of closing off of the directives of the CUF report and the ministerial order. We're looking forward, we've all said it since we've been elected officials, that there's a reason why the rear view mirror you need to, and the windshield in front of you is the future is bright. It's ahead of us, and we need to look back every now and again. And we're glad that it's in our rearview mirror. So thank you for that. Thank you for this presentation. That's my only comment. Thank you.
Your Worship, Member Council, I just wanted to advise that I have experience working with Mr. Michael Solomon previously. He served as an integrity commissioner for me in a code of conduct investigation when I was with Woodlands County. He's formerly with a large major municipal law firm, lots of experience, very sage advice. I certainly appreciate that he would be one of the people we would be relying on. But I'm going to give you a projection and a forecast. These services will not be needed in the next 15 months. So
Hear, hear.
It's just a safety valve and the compliance with the directives. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vincent. You stole the words right out of my mouth. Is that my hope would be that we get this done because it's an important matter to get done, and that this is a individual that we won't have to engage. Deputy Mayor Grant.
Through the chair to the CEO and administration, I'd like to thank all your hard work in getting these done. Completing these directives are extremely important to everybody sitting up here. And this is just one more piece to that puzzle of getting it completed. And I know we're excited for that day. So thank you for all your hard work. It's much appreciated.
Absolutely. And this is going to help us move forward too as a municipality in improving and re-engaging and reworking with municipal affairs, which I think we're all looking forward to, an improved relationship with municipal affairs moving forward. So with that, I think we're good to call for the vote. Okay, we'll call for the vote. Great, that's carried unanimously. 7.3, 2024 council meeting dates. Mr. Kallen Morrison.
Good morning again, Mayor and Council. Today I'm bringing back the 2024 council meeting dates calendar, and we're looking for the motion to adopt the 2024 council meeting dates as presented. Essentially, the big difference is that we swapped around the governance and priorities meetings. They were originally on the 13th and the 27th. We switched those to the 6th and the 20th, and we've also added August 13th and the 27th as regular meetings of council. Just with the by-election, a new council, it being a summertime, we just felt that these council dates were necessary to keep administration going. So essentially, it was just out of necessity. So with that, we're just asking for the motion to adopt the 2024 council meeting dates calendar as presented.
Thank you. Looking for a councillor to make the motion because I believe Mr. Kallen is hinting at the fact that we have a lot of work to do. I think that's what he just said. So, Deputy Mayor Grant.
I motion that council adopt the 2024 council meeting dates as presented.
Any questions or comments?
Just a comment, Your Worship, members, council. You have the right to cancel any meeting if you don't need them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we made that clear at the organizational meeting. So at any time, though these meetings are scheduled, should there be a conference that comes up or something that would be conflicting with a scheduled meeting, council always has that ability to cancel council meetings. So just want to make sure that everybody was clear and understood that.
No, thank you. With review of our calendars, I would suggest we're going to need these meetings going forward. Councilor Randhawa. Oh, sorry, you were pointing at. Okay, sorry, Mr. Edney.
Sorry, just through the chair, just looking at the calendar, I noticed that August 8th and August 22nd aren't highlighted as council agenda submissions are due. I would just recommend that be added to this for the 13th and 27th council meetings. Typically shown in blue.
Yeah. Get that change made. Great, thank you. Okay. Good otherwise? I don't believe that requires any change in the motion.
No.
It's a simple administrative task.
Just administrative. Right.
I just had a quick question.
Yes, Councilor.
About our GAP meetings. So through the chair, through administration to Kallen. In October, we have one GAP meeting scheduled, and as well as in September. Are we going with just one GAP meeting in those months? As highlighted.
Yeah, what I would suggest is that we accept this at this time, and then as we start moving forward here over the next few weeks, because we can also add. So just like Mr. Vincent has pointed out that we can cancel, we can also add meetings through council resolution and or call for special meetings by way of the MGA as well. So we can always add meetings if we see a need moving forward. Councillor Worzanowski.
Yes, thank you through the chair, through administration, and to Mr. Morrison. Actually, to administration, with the updates on these meetings, let's just be sure to continue updating our schedules such that our calendars are up to date on Outlook. And also, I know we're doing that, so thank you for that. And also, when a counselor may not be available or anyone invited to these meetings, let's ensure that the invitation is extended through Microsoft Teams or some type of video conference as per our procedural bylaw. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. And call for the vote then if there's no other comments or questions. And that's carried unanimously. And moving on then to 7.4, delay of Directive 8. Kallen again.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Today, administration is seeking the motion that Council acknowledge the delay of Directive number 8 report. Request said report will be at the August 13th, 2024 regular meeting of Council, and humbly ask the Minister's understanding and send a formal letter to the Minister of Municipal Affairs. Due to Council's orientation taking place July 16th and 17th, the City has elected to delay the Directive number 8 report to August 13th, 2024 regular Council meeting. In best practices, City Administration consulted with Municipal Affairs about the delay. Municipal Affairs recommended through Council resolution to officially inform the Minister of the delay. In addition to the resolution, it was recommended Administration also send a formal letter to the Minister. For the implications, the Directive Number 8 report will be on the August 13th, 2024 regular council meeting. If council does not complete this resolution, we run the risk of failing to complete this task. After consulting with municipal affairs, this has the potential to strain relations in which the city has worked diligently to improve since December 4th, 2023. So with that, we are just seeking the motion that council acknowledge the delay of Directive Number 8 report. Request said reports will be at the August 13th, 2024 regular meeting of council, and humbly ask for the minister's understanding and send a formal letter to the minister.
Great, thank you. The motion, please. Have a Councillor Randawa.
Thank you, Your Worship. The motion that council acknowledge the delay of the Directive Number 8 report request said the report will be at the August 13, 2024 regular meeting of council, and humbly ask of a minister to understand and send a formal letter to the minister.
Thank you. I wonder within this, should we specify the minister? So it should be Minister of Municipal Affairs?
Your Worship, Members Council, no, it's not necessary because the it speaks to the directives.
Okay.
And the directives were issued by the Minister of Municipal Affairs, so I think it's
Great, thank
encompassed.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments before calling for the vote? Great, thank you. We'll call for the vote. Great, thank you. That's carried unanimously. And our final item, 7.5, presented by our interim CAO, Mr. Vincent.
Your Worship, Members of Council, I won't bother reading the report. You know that you've read it and you're familiar with the details. A statement of claim was lodged in Court of King's Bench, and we have yet to proceed with service on the defendants. We, though, had the direction from the official administrator, we reserved as administration that particular action so we could inform the newly elected council so that they fully apprised. With that, I would submit respectfully, council consider accepting this report as information. The decision of the official administrator to pursue legal action to recover municipal funds expended without proper authority, as identified in the Deloitte Inc. City of Chestermere Municipal Inspection Report. And that resolution by the official administrator was dated June 11th, 2024, motion number 240611-07, and administration will continue with the next step in the process with service to the defendants named in the statement of claim. Be pleased to answer any questions, provide any clarification. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Can I get Councillor to make the motion beforehand? Councillor Narayan?
Thank you. Motion that council accept as information the decision of the official administrator to pursue legal action to recover municipal funds expended without proper authority as identified in the Deloitte Inc. City of Chestermere Municipal Inspection Report dated June 11th, 2024. Motion 240611-07, and administration will continue with the next step in the process with service to the defendants' names in the statement of claim.
Thank you. Any questions or comments in regards to this motion? Councillor Schindler.
I just have a general statement, I guess. I want to share or tell the public that I hope with this this going forward that we're sending a clear message to future councils that they are not above our bylaws and are responsible to the Municipal Governments Act and the citizens of Chestermere. The era of of responsible stewardship of public dollars is here to stay, and I hope that they can find confidence in this council going forward. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Schindler. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Sameh.
Thank you, Your Worship. Similarly, I had a brief comment for any members of the public, and this is something on a lot of people's minds, and wondering what the process will be in the timeline. And something I'd like to communicate is that these kinds of things typically take a long time to be resolved. There are steps in the process that we can't speed up. And I know in speaking with my colleagues on council, we are very excited to let this be background work while we focus on moving forward. So I'm very keen to not think about this too much as it moves forward until we have to, and just focus on what we're actually doing for the community moving forward.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments on the motion? Yeah, I would like to echo both what has been said by Councillor Schindler and Councillor Sameh. And we've heard it earlier today as well. Councillor Worzanowski mentioned the piece about with the Integrity Commissioner coming on and us finishing off the CUF report. This council certainly has that task of dealing with things that we've inherited, but at the same time, this council is very excited to be moving many projects forward. And thank you to administration for the work that you're doing on this and are continuing to do on this. And thank you, administration, for taking this so that council can continue to move forward in governing the city of Chestermere in governing well. So with that, I will call for the vote. Great, and that's carried unanimously.
Your Worship, if I might, just two quick items before you call for adjournment.
Yeah.
One, on item 7.2, the Calgary Master Services Agreement, the reason the agreement was not attached to the agenda package, it is covered by FOIP because of business interests. So I want to offer that explanation. And when it comes on the agenda on August 13th, it'll be the same RFD. No words will be changed, just a date, and without the agreement, now that you have a copy and you have a chance to review it. So last thing is, we need to get a formal portrait of all the esteemed members of council now that they're all sitting at the table. And so I give you notice. Next meeting of council, come with your funny hat, your clown nose, or whatever you need to have for your formal picture. We'll have that taken prior to or following the next council meeting. Thank you for your indulgence.
Thank you. For clarity, when you say next meeting of council, do you mean gap on August 6th or on August 13th?
August 13th.
August 13th.
Normally, Governance and Priorities Committee meetings are less formal. No ties are necessary. Usually council meetings, sports jacket and tie for the men and suitable business dress for the ladies on council. So
I'm even more excited now for the gap meetings. That's no one told me that part. I'm even happier now that we're adding those meetings. That is a fantastic way to end this meeting here this morning. That is good news. Any other final things? Great. Call for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Schindler.
Motion that council adjourn at 11:34 a.m.
And all in favor? Or sorry, call for the vote. Great. Thank you, everybody. With that, we are adjourned.
So if I have time,